Thank you for watching the recording. So yes, for those that maybe missed our last general membership meeting, actually in July, I presented on this goal with a few other fellow CoC members. We really want to end veteran homelessness in our region. So across Larimer and Weld County, the CoC is committed to doing that. And really, I would say in May, June of this year, we kind of took on several different system approaches to collectively and collaboratively work together to make this a possibility. So just as a quick reminder, for us to end veteran homelessness and kind of sustain that, we need the number of active veterans to be less than the number that we can routinely house on a monthly basis. So right now we have kind of demonstrated an average of about 8 housing placements on a monthly basis. And so if we were going to say we reached functional zero for our veteran population today, we'd have to have less than 8 veterans unhoused in our region. And so there's work still to be done, but today I'm really just gonna kind of show you the progress that we've made so far. And just really quick refresher, the 4 approaches that we kind of decided to implement in May and June is continuing to offer flexible financial assistance, enhancing support networks, establishing a brick and mortar pipeline, really kind of that inventory piece is significant in this process, and then a temporary prioritization of veteran households in our coordinated entry systems where we make housing referrals. I just want to highlight that because it's going to come into play on the next 2 slides that I shared. But this first graphic, it's kind of a comparison. So the before and after when we made some of these system shifts. So we are looking specifically at the impact of community collaboration on kind of time from a HUD-VASH referral to voucher issuance. So HUD-VASH, the Veteran Affairs Supportive Housing Program, in a nutshell, it's basically a voucher-based program that provides housing assistance and supportive services like case management and clinical services. And this is a significant way that we support veterans who need longer-term care. And so in January and May, when we were doing HUD-VASH referral assignments, when a veteran was selected, they would work exclusively with a HUD-VASH case manager to do all the things, right? So the case manager was working on outreach, was helping them gather vital documents, other supporting documentation, helping them with the application. And that can take a significant amount of time, especially when it's on one individual. So there's an issue with capacity. There's only so many HUD-VASH vouchers that we can assign in a given time frame if there's only a few individuals that can really assist with that. And so what we asked our community partners to do is kind of help with that initial outreach piece and application piece for any veteran assigned to a HUD-VASH referral. And we did that in June. And so again, we're kind of comparing and contrasting what we used to do, where there's one kind of support person, and then we created teams starting in June. And what you'll see here, there's 2 things I just want to highlight. One is that we significantly increased the number of HUD-VASH referral assignments. So we were able to get more veterans referred to this resource. We increased them, the resource assignments, by about 42% from June through November. And then in addition to that, we significantly reduced the length of time from referral to voucher issuance. So when this individual has the voucher in hand. And that's just so amazing. Firstly, I want to highlight that we decreased the amount of time by about 50%. And what that means is that the veteran gets the voucher sooner, which means they are able to start the housing search process sooner. And hopefully that means that they get into housing sooner. And so they're experiencing homelessness for less time in our region. So I just, again, wanted to highlight how impactful our community collaboration has been with this effort. And it's really a huge thanks to our VOA, SSVF case managers, outreach teams, day shelter resource navigators, housing coordinators. So many people have stepped up to the plate to assist with this process. So just wanted to celebrate that. The other graphic that I wanted to share is just looking at our number of veteran households who are unhoused, and also the number of exits to permanent housing that have taken place. So what you'll see is that, and this is the blue line, so our number of total active homeless veterans has significantly decreased, especially recently. We're kind of at a record low of about 41 veterans who were unhoused as of October 31st. And you can see here we were about 68 in April of this year. So in a relatively short amount of time, we have really reduced that number. And that's really part of the reason why that's happened is because we've seen a significant increase in the number of housing placements. So in September and October, we housed in total 24 unique veteran households. So 12 housing placements occurred each month, which is amazing. And this graph doesn't show it, but as of yesterday, we've housed an additional 9 veteran households. So just again, it's really exciting to see the momentum that we have right now. And I wanted to celebrate that with you all because it's really taken so many different partners to accomplish this, which is why on my next slide, just want to again kind of highlight all the different partners that have been involved. It's not an exhaustive list. Really, all of our case conferencing partners who attend on a weekly basis and just share resource information, service changes, hours, you name it. That's really helpful too. We need it all. So I just wanted to shout out everyone, say thank you for all the work. It's really exciting to see the momentum that we have, and together we can end veteran homelessness, and in the not so distant future. If we kind of continue with this trajectory, I think mid-year next year, we could be saying that we've ended veteran homelessness. Just wanted to make sure I shared this information with you all since I kind of presented on our efforts in July and wanted to keep you updated. But yeah, any questions about this? Okay.
Christine, it's Lyle. What are you still needing? Is it more housing opportunities, more case management? What's the capacity narrow point for even accelerating the rate of housing even more?
I would say definitely still like the inventory will be a significant piece, right? We have programs that can support these veterans, but they need to find a unit that is affordable. And landlords that offer some flexibility is also really beneficial. Just, occasionally background check or rental arrears, whatnot. We've been dealing with that a little bit. So I think the inventory is going to play a significant role. I feel like we've really built out the capacity with partners stepping up. So I don't know if that's as much of a barrier, but I guess if anyone else has anything to share, any of our partners think of something, that's what I would say. I don't see any hands up. Well, thank you. I will move us along to our next kind of agenda item. So many of you have probably received an email from me if you are a CoC voting member or on our governing board slate of nominees. But the governing board is seeking new governing board members to start in January of next year, which is hard to believe. We're already almost at the end of 2024. But yes, we are kind of in an election period right now. And so it is the responsibility of our CoC voting members to appoint new governing board members. And so if you have received an email from me over the last few months, that's because you're a voting member, and we wanted to make sure you knew that this was coming up. But I'm really pleased to have our candidates introduce themselves today. There are 7 total, and there ironically are 7 seats available on our governing board for next year. And the governing board has fully endorsed each candidate because they really bring a diverse they're really a diverse group representing different sectors, skills, areas, you name it. And so I'll stop there though, and I'm gonna turn it over to our slate of nominees for them to just introduce themselves, the kind of current role, background, and why they're interested in joining the governing board. Annie, if you're able to, I'm gonna turn it over to you first.
Hi, yeah, thank you so much for having me. My name is Annie Hill. I am currently the sergeant of our homeless outreach and proactive engagement team, which is our HOPE team at Fort Collins Police. And I have been with the police department for 16 years. I have experience with working with at-risk youth. I'm also a certified addictions counselor, and I am a domestic violence therapist. Throughout my time at the police department, I've been a major crimes detective. I also started our mental health co-responder team and also the HOPE team. I'm just really excited. I have a lot of interactions on a day-to-day basis with some of our most vulnerable populations, including people experiencing homelessness, who are chronically homeless. And I've just really wanted to be part of the CoC to have kind of that knowledge and bring my experiences to the table in housing our individuals in our community.
Thank you. Okay, next on the list is Caesar.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Cesar Jimenez. I am the Vice President of Housing and Supportive Services with the Community Economic Defense Project. So I currently oversee all of our supportive services, which entails case management services for some of uh, the Denver Metro residents. But we also have the Transformation Homelessness Response Grant, which I'm not sure if some of you might be familiar with. So that allowed us to expand our work in areas such as Durango down in the southwest region of Colorado, and then also in the Fort Morgan and Sterling area northeast of Colorado. So really working on expanding rapid housing services in those rural areas where I think the need is definitely a lot greater than some of our other areas. So, but prior to that, I worked at the Colorado Coalition for the Homeless for 7 years. I did voucher administration. So I was the director of their voucher administration department. So working contracts from HUD through Division of Housing and some internal vouchers as well. Was also the director of family support services there. And that really got me into more of the clinical work, behavioral health support services for our families experiencing homelessness or at risk of experiencing homelessness. And right now we are also launching our behavioral health services here at CDP as well, and hopefully bringing that out to some of the rural areas. And just in working in some of these areas, we definitely see the need for that. Definitely need for behavioral health support services along with housing. So, yeah, I just have a broad range of experience in homelessness prevention, permanent supportive housing, voucher administration work that I think I can also bring some of that good feedback here, and then also work with the COC to maybe enhance some of the services and take away from learning experiences in other regions of Colorado and like really bring that all together and support those efforts. So really happy to be here. Appreciate the nomination, and yeah, look forward to next steps. Thank you all.
Thank you. I'm gonna pass it over to Daniel next.
Thank you, Christine. Good morning, everyone. I know most of you, but for those of you who I haven't met, my name is Daniel Covey. I'm the manager of supportive housing and community partnerships with Housing Catalyst. In this role, I oversee the implementation and management of our supportive housing initiatives, Red Tail Ponds and Mason Place. And I bring about 2 decades of experience working in poverty alleviation and homeless solutions. I've worked for the Murphy Center for Hope and just really love the collaboration that exists in this community. So I have a background in behavioral health. I've worked with youth and families, and I hold a master's in social work with an emphasis in trauma-informed care. I'm really excited to join the COC governing board. I feel like not only is my experience relevant, but I'm really committed to addressing homelessness. And I do believe that our community is positioned for great success in working together and addressing homelessness. And I got to say, I'm super excited about the information that Christine shared about our success with the veteran population. I think It shows that if we focus on a population, we can make a lot of progress. And so I'm excited to expand that effort. So thanks very much for the nomination.
Thank you, Daniel. Okay, we can move on to Jody Hartman. We have two Jodys presenting today.
Hello. So I'm Jody Hartman. I'm the Executive Director of High Plains Housing Development. We are the organization that is building the new Star Rise apartments in Greeley. This will be a 58-unit permanent supportive housing project. And I've been very grateful for all of the community partnerships and support we've received, including Daniel Covey, who has been a wonderful resource for us as we've developed this project. So I have served in this space of working to solve our homeless challenges since about 2005. And back in those days, I was working for the Greeley Transitional House, which is an emergency shelter program for families here in Greeley. But also during that period, I was able to serve on the Balance of State Advisory Board back when that was our CoC. So I have a lot of experience with the CoC work over the last 20 years. I can remember, Sherry Myers is on this meeting. Sherry, I can remember a time when we were trying to meet as a CoC and there were 5 of us in the room and, trying to do all of this work for the region. So I'm just so impressed with how far we have come and the wonderful leadership that we've had over the years. And of course, now the fact that we are our own CoC is just a major accomplishment. So I'm honored to be nominated and anxious to bring not only my perspective in these different positions I've held, but also to be able to represent Weld County.
Thank you, Jody. I'm going to pass it on to our other Jody, Jody Riesenberger.
Hi, hello everyone. Yes, Jody Riesenberger. I'm with the NoCO Foundation, also known as the Community Foundation of Northern Colorado, but we're working on a shift to the easier name. I'm just really happy to be here and honored to be nominated. I've been in this community for about 10 years working in philanthropy and in the nonprofit sector. I was previously at Bohemian Foundation where I got to know and connect and manage grant relationships as a program officer with many of you. I see my role at the NoCO Foundation similar. I manage our grant making program, but also really to understand and kind of see the 30,000 level view of all the great work that's going on and how does it intersect and how can we as a community continue to work more regionally. And I'm just really excited to learn from all of you who are experts in the space and hopefully bring what I'm learning here to funders networks that I participate in both locally and statewide. We're always looking to bring the Denver focused funders up here to understand what's going on and what great work we're doing. So I appreciate being here and I'm honored to be nominated.
Thank you, Jody. And then I'm going to turn it over to Tatum.
Hi, good morning. It's nice to see everyone and thank you for this opportunity to introduce myself. It's a great honor to be nominated as a candidate for the Northern Colorado CoC board. My specific focus would be on veteran services and affordable housing and permanent supportive housing. Although all of the focuses of the board are super important and excited to get the opportunity to be a part of those processes as well. My name is Tatum Webb. I work for the Cheyenne VA healthcare system, and I am based out of the Northern Colorado VA clinic in Loveland. I've been with VA since 2011 and with the Cheyenne VA since 2014, where I started in the healthcare for homeless veterans outreach program. That was my entry into working with individuals experiencing homelessness, and it quickly became a passion of mine. I also have a master's in social work. I'm a licensed clinical social worker with also a license in alcohol and drug addiction counseling. And so I initially started with trauma and substance abuse therapy, but quickly became became interested in working with homelessness and around this issue. I was lucky enough to be part of the first team of community partners that attended a coordinated entry boot camp in Denver in 2016. And I've been involved with the coordinated entries CAP system in various capacities over the years. I've also worked in VA homeless programs in various roles, and in my current position, I'm the Associate Chief of Mental Health for Community Integration. I currently provide oversight to all of the Cheyenne VA homeless programs. I'm knowledgeable of veteran services provided through VA, as well as through veteran service organizations and other community partners. I've spent the past decade building relationships and partnering with homeless service providers in Northern Colorado. I'm dedicated to improving veteran access to care and resources, both VA and non-VA, and ensuring all veterans in our community have access to affordable and permanent supportive housing. Again, I'm honored for this nomination, and thank you.
Thank you, Tatum. Well, that was 6 of our 7 candidates. Debbie Meyer with Colorado Poverty Law Project is our 7th candidate. She was unable to attend today. She's out of the office. But a summary of her skills, her interest in joining the governing board is available to all our CoC voting members. I will send that out again today after this meeting, again to our voting members, with detailed instructions on the how to vote. And I'll include that description as well, so y'all can reference it, or if anyone was unable to attend today's general membership meeting, they'll have that information as well. Are there any, one last thank you to everyone who introduced themselves. We're very grateful for your interest in applying. Any other questions about this upcoming governing board election that I could answer? I don't think I see any hands up.
This is Lyle, Christine.
Okay.
So I think we'll be voting as a slate. So it won't be individuals that we'll be voting for. We'll just be voting up and down on the slate of candidates. Is that right?
They'll vote on each individual, yes or no. So the voting form will have that. Yeah.
Okay, great.
What? I don't see anything else. Lyle, I'm actually going to pass it back to you to give some point in time count updates.
Great, thanks. And it's Lyle Smith-Graybo with United Way of Weld County. We've been discussing the point in time count, the 2025 point in time count. As you may know, HUD requires us to do a sheltered count every year and an unsheltered count every other year. We as a CoC have decided to do an unsheltered count every year. So for 2025, just like other years, we'll do both a sheltered and an unsheltered count. Definitely last year was our best count that we'd done as far as coverage with, doing the 3 main municipalities, but then also having people looking along I-25 and Estes Park and Fort Lupton. And we really want to replicate that coverage again for 2025. The count always happens on a night. The night of the count is always one of the last 10 days of January. And we, as a CoC, get to decide what night that is. And what we've discussed so far is January 28th. It's a Tuesday, being the night of the count. And then that would give us the rest of the week for that week to do interacting with people and asking the questions of whether or not they had shelter or housing on the night of January 28th. But we are going to check in with the most involved partners that were involved in the count last year and make sure that January 28th is a good night for the night of the count. So that's not for sure yet, but that's our working night right now. And then we also want to be involved or asking those partners again for their participation in the ways that they were involved last year, since this is a fairly involved effort, including a lot of individuals and a lot of organizations to do the canvassing. And we actually have some events that we hold to interact with people or ask people whether or not they had shelter that night. So we will be contacting those organizations again soon after Thanksgiving, and doing the kinds of trainings that we did last year, and hit for the most part a repeat button on the process that we followed. One thing that we're going to do for this upcoming year that we haven't done it as substantially as we have in the past is to have more energy put into a youth count. That is something that we very much need to do as a CoC, for just to know, how many youth are experiencing homelessness on that night, and also for the possibility of our CoC applying to HUD for a thing called the Youth Demonstration Homelessness Project. If we don't do a count for youth, if we don't do a substantial count, then it doesn't make it as likely that we would be a good candidate for receiving that funding. So that's going to be a new amount of energy applied to that, and we will be contacting many of those that are involved with youth, serving youth, to see how we can better do that count this upcoming year. So Christine, anything I missed, or does anybody have any questions? Super.
Cool.
Thanks,
Thank
Christine.
you, Al. Cool. Okay, well, I'll move us along to the next agenda item. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay. So I'm very excited to kind of share some ideas from the Membership Engagement Committee on how to kind of reimagine our CoC membership for the benefit of all going into 2025. So this committee is really hoping to create a well-informed collaborative coalition who receives quality training and opportunities to really shape service delivery programs and policy. That's kind of what this committee has decided to focus on. And within that, when we want to achieve that purpose, there's kind of three main goals that we've focused on. And the first one is we really want to increase access to our partners. Specifically for our partner organizations, we really want to make sure that there are multiple staff within those organizations that have the opportunity to learn, network, and collaborate with fellow CoC members. Really increased access is really important for us to diversify representation, whether that be skills, knowledge, just professional expertise, lived experience. All those different things that someone brings to the table are really important for us to make sure that we have. And so when we increase access and kind of improve that diverse representation, it really benefits all areas of the CoC. So the CoC governing board, staffing, CoC committees and working groups, you name it. That's really important for us to have different perspectives at the table. And when we do, that also ultimately benefits our unhoused and unsafely housed community members. And so that's kind of the first goal with thinking through potential changes to membership, is how do we increase access? Along with that, we really want to make sure that just because we're increasing access, giving opportunities to participate, that our members want to engage. And so that's the other goal of ours, is to really improve engagement. We want to make sure that we are preparing agenda items and content that are of important and of interest to our members. Just because you have a seat at the table doesn't mean that what's being presented is something you feel that you can participate or engage with. And so we really want to make sure we're just identifying those key topics, and that engagement is natural, right? Like, you want to participate, you want to come, you're excited about what we're discussing. And if we have that improved engagement, then again, as a collective, coalition, we can work towards our goal of making homelessness rare, short-lived, and non-recurring. And so those are kind of the first two goals. And then lastly, it's really important for us to support the CoC, its sustainability and its growth, and membership plays a key role in that. There are several kind of required CoC activities that need ongoing funding. So for instance, every year we need to submit a consolidated application to HUD in response to that notice of funding opportunity, and that takes a significant effort to collaborate with all our partners, make sure they're aware of the opportunity, understand the process. Similarly, HUD requires that we implement a regional homeless management information system. That takes staffing and licensing. So another way that we just need ongoing funding for that. And also, HUD requires that we implement a coordinated entry system, which in our region we refer to as CAPS, or the Coordinated Assessment Housing Placement System. Again, that takes significant staff time. We have to collaborate with, right now we have about 40 different CAPS partners. And so our membership is just really helpful for making sure that we sustain funding for some of those key activities. Point in time count, another example of something that a CoC was required to do. So those are our three main goals, again, as we think through possibilities for how to change our membership structure and some of our CoC activities. Just a quick disclaimer, what I'm about to present, nothing is final. So this has not been voting on by our CoC governing board. These are ideas that the Membership Engagement Committee has developed based on feedback from our CoC members and kind of what we've observed. But we really want to make sure that we also give our members an opportunity to provide feedback. And so that will be made available today after I discuss some of these potential changes. But I think it's important, before I talk about what we are thinking of doing in 2025, that we just quickly do a refresher on where we're at now. And so right now with the membership structure, there's kind of two ways that someone can be involved in the work of the CoC. And so we have CoC partner members. Those are individuals or agencies who sign a formal CoC membership agreement. And these partners will designate one person to serve as the CoC voting member, and then they can identify other individuals to participate as non-voting members. And then the other kind of membership role we have currently is stakeholders. And these are organizations or individuals who support the work of the CoC, but have not signed any formal agreement, and their access to CoC activities is a little bit more limited. What we are thinking going into 2025 is just kind of looking at some membership roles and kind of levels of engagement. And so we have three roles that we have proposed. The first one is partner members. So these memberships are going to be reserved for organizations who support the work of the CoC and sign a formal agreement. Partner members will designate a representative who has voting authority. So this person would vote on things like governing board members, new members. And then other staff within that partner organization are considered non-members, non-voting members, sorry. So they won't have voting authority, but they can still engage with the CoC. And kind of, you'll see in this visual, a partner member, you see all the checks in these different areas, because they'll have access to basically all CoC meetings and activities. For individual members, kind of the next role that we have, this is reserved for individuals, as it is in the name, that are not affiliated with an organization, but support the work of the CoC, want to be regularly involved. And so they will sign a CoC membership agreement, and basically they will have decent access to most things. The only thing is they're not designating a representative who has voting authority. So you'll kind of see that's crossed out. And then lastly, we'll have non-members. So those would be organizations or individuals who support the work of the CoC. They don't sign a membership agreement. Their access is more limited. So you kind of see over here, they'll get newsletters, they can be on the contact list, so be made aware of anything that's happening. and this annual State of Homelessness event, which I will touch on more later. But that's kind of what we're thinking for how we could restructure our membership and specifically like the roles and how different individuals and organizations engage in the work. One other area that the Membership Engagement Committee has been thinking through some potential changes is kind of like CoC meetings and activities. And so again, I'm going to do a quick refresher on where we're at now before I go into some of the thought about changes. And so right now we have general membership meetings. We're here today at a general membership meeting. So they occur every other month. They are scheduled for 2 hours, and both CoC partners and stakeholders are invited to attend. The agenda content does vary. It's usually, we'll make sure to provide CoC updates. We have presentations or trainings. You know, we had the governing board slate of candidates introduce themselves today because we have an election coming up. So any just kind of pertinent things, and then sector updates, right? What is going on with all of our fellow CoC members? Any changes to programs, staffing, you name it. So that's kind of what's happening right now. What we are thinking of, again, for 2025, is that we'll kind of have 2 different types of meetings. And so we'll have one type of meeting that is for our designated representatives. So those CoC partner organizations who have selected a designated representative with voting authority, that individual will attend these meetings. And the purpose is really to educate these designated reps on CoC governance and operations, to build consensus among stakeholders, ensure cohesive communication, right, that flow of information, and then to hold votes on key issues. Again, the governing board member elections is a great example of that. We are thinking that this will be scheduled on a quarterly basis for up to 1.5 hours max. And that kind of quarterly schedule would also include the annual State of Homelessness event. And then these meetings, because these designated reps do have voting authority, we would require 75% attendance, and that will be tracked. On the other side, we'll have CoC membership meetings. And this is really kind of giving access to any CoC partner, organizations, members, staff, or individuals. But we really want to provide education and trainings. And that's identified by our members, right? So again, kind of going back to that goal of improving engagement, we want to make sure that we're providing content that is most important and relevant to our members. And so that will take some additional planning. That's where feedback is really helpful. We also feel that these membership meetings can provide an opportunity for capacity building, an opportunity to collaborate and network, and information sharing. Again, it's really helpful when we're all in one space to hear updates from one another. And we all get bombarded with emails, so it's a lot easier if we're already here, there, let's share some information. So those are kind of the 2 main meetings that we are thinking of implementing for 2025. And in addition, we'd really like to launch a State of Homelessness event. So this event, again, would be an opportunity to collaborate and network. It'd be potential for us to recognize the amazing work that organizations or individuals have done that year. It's educational, so we really wanted to coincide with the release of the State of Homelessness report that we did our first one this year. And then the point in time count data as well. So kind of we'll have data, a regional snapshot of data to share as well. And then hoping to build off this event in the future, it could be a potential CoC fundraiser. And so, and this event would be open to all. So any member, however someone is engaged with the CoC, whether that's formal or informal, they have a seat at the table. It's in person. We really, again, want to encourage that networking, getting to know one another, hold that space, and it would be annual. And then again, we just hope that we can kind of scale it up based on what we are seeing is, you know, the most relevant information to share, what's happening, what people want. So just build that over the next few years. But that's kind of what we have thought through so far, again, among the Membership Engagement Committee. But we'd really like to hear your thoughts on what we are proposing and to kind of help direct our final proposal to the governing board to adopt. And so I have a QR code on this slide. You're welcome to get a snapshot. I'll also put a link in the chat, and I will also email that out. We are asking for feedback by end of day Wednesday, November 27th. So that gives you just shy of a week to provide that feedback. Their survey's not too long. So we'd really appreciate if you do take the time. If you're like, I've got some great ideas, this is what I'd like to see, please take that survey. It's really helpful for us to kind of make sure we're meeting the needs of you all. So that is all for that. Are there any questions?
Christine, I don't see the link in the chat.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I'll do that right now. Thank you, Allison. There you go. That should be the correct link. So yeah, oh, and I'll put the date that we'd like that completed by in the chat as well. Okay. Cool. Thank you all for that. There's no other questions. Let me see. Just triple check that I'm not missing anyone. Okay. Then I'm going to pass it over to Carrie Clark, the CoC Governing Board Vice Chair, for some lead applicant updates.
Hi, everybody. As Christine mentioned, I'm Carrie Clark with Alternatives to Violence and the Vice Chair for the board. I apologize for the phone. Our internet is out at work. So I am doing this by phone, and part of what I am doing is giving an update on the RFP for the lead agency. Can everybody hear me okay, by the way, Christine? Aaliyah, the chair, was unable to make it, so she actually gave me some information to share, which, since I cannot be directly on my computer, I'm going to read it straight from my phone without interpreting what she said. So the Northern Colorado Continuum of Care believes in providing high quality services to the community and is thankful for everything United Way of Weld County has given to see that we succeed. It is best practice nationwide to run a competitive process to name a collaborative applicant and HMIS lead every 5 years. So we are now going into the 5th year. In fact, the Balance of State and Pikes Peak Continuum of Care really recently went through this process themselves. The NoCO CoC is now approaching that benchmark for the first time. The board of directors has been preparing for this all year. We recently solidified a process and have formed a committee responsible for publishing an RFP, so a request for proposal, reviewing the responses, and presenting a recommendation for full board approval. The selection committee consists of board members and our lived experience council leader. They plan to publish the RFP by the end of November, so coming up here pretty soon. It will be shared with the entire CoC network, and any organization can apply for either the role, so either the lead agency or the HMIS lead. Just to remind you, the collaborative applicant makes sure CoC services are comprehensive, responsive, and effective. They are the administrative body that reports back to the CoC board of directors and the general membership to ensure our response system is successful. Our HMIS lead agency oversees and monitors the data collection related to homelessness services. The RFP will ask for proposals for both roles, but one agency can submit a proposal to serve both roles. So again, that RFP will come out shortly here in the next couple of weeks, and the process will continue, and we'll decide on who the lead agency is. And I'm going to second what Aaliyah mentioned in what I read to you, that we thank United Way for everything that they have given the CoC and the efforts to combat homelessness in Northern Colorado. Are there any questions on the process? And I'm on a phone, so somebody might have to speak up since I can't see a full picture.
I can monitor. Don't think I see any hands up right now, but let me, no.
Kelly's saying something here.
Yeah,
in chat.
Kelly just put in the chat, the lead agency RFP will likely be released next week. It'll be posted on the CoC website and sent out via the CoC newsletter as well. Thank you, Kelly, for that update.
Yeah, and if we have no other questions, you can reach out to Aaliyah or Christine or myself if you have any that you don't want to ask here. But other than that, thank you.
Thanks, Carrie. Sorry about your internet issues.
Yeah, it'll come back up.
Okay, cool. Well, that was all for our agenda items. So really now it's just an opportunity to share any updates, either in the chat or brief. We have time. So I think we'll try to probably just do raise hands. If you have an update, I can do it by sector. And then if anyone wants to chime in at the end, if you forgot to participate earlier or whatnot. Are there any shelter, day center, street outreach updates to share? Yeah,
Christine,
Nicole?
I can. So hi everyone. My name is Nicole Armstrong. I'm the executive director of the Matthews House. And as it went out in the newsletter just recently, but also we will be opening the Landing, the regional youth shelter, starting. We have our grand opening at the end of December 18th, 4 to 6. And then we will start taking youth and young adults, so 15 up to 20, up until their 21st birthday, starting around January 27th. And so we'll continue to provide information out. The shelter will be able to house up to 20 youth at a time. So if you have any questions, let me know.
Thank you. Very exciting. Okay, this is great. I see a few hands up. I think Paula, you were next.
Hi, yes. I just wanted to announce, our winter shelter is now operating. We're about 50 to 60 men per night in the winter shelter, with leaving some spaces available at our main campus just for police drop-offs. We also have some open positions. So if you know people who are still looking for employment, we have a supervisor position along with some shelter associate positions. So just wanted to put the word out.
Thank you, Paula. I appreciate those updates. I'm going to go to Carrie next.
Back again. I just wanted to give an update on alternatives to violence. I know some people know this already. Starting the day after Thanksgiving, we're going to be at a reduced capacity probably for, I'm hoping, only about 4 weeks or so. We are moving forward with a remodel that we've had planned for a while so that we can actually increase capacity at the Safe House. So we will be able to have 3 more rooms and about 8 to 10 more beds or so. This is good timing over the holidays. Domestic violence shelters are not quite as busy normally over Christmas. People don't want to leave situations that they have. So we are hoping that by the first of the year, we'll be able to start bringing folks back in when walls are not taken down and safety is not compromised. So we still will be having our non-residential services and perhaps housing people in hotels or offering other resources for the other shelters that are available, so that nobody is displaced. Allison, do you have a question? Because you popped up on my screen.
No.
Oh, weird.
No, I was just raising my hand to give an update about the shelter.
Okay.
Thank you though, Carrie.
Thanks, Carrie. Let's see. I see a few hands up. I'm gonna go to Rebecca next.
Yeah, I just have a quick update about the cold weather shelter here in Greeley. Last night was the first night we did reach capacity and did have to start turning folks away. So I just wanted to put that out on everybody's radar.
Thank you, Rebecca. I think Linda is next.
All right. Just wanted to let everyone know that if you hadn't heard, we were able to get funded through the state to do strategic planning for Larimer County. And so it took a while to get to where we are now, but we've hired JG Consultants and Research and Development, and they have subcontractors with another company in Denver called Omni. So they'll probably be reaching out initially to a lot of the service providers in the region. We're working really hard to try to thread the needle with Weld County as well through this process, but there'll be more to come on it. And I would say, like I said, with the providers in Larimer County, you know, you may have already seen an email, and you may be being reached out to, and it's exciting. This first year will just be the development of the plan, and then the second year will be implementation. So that's a Cliff Note version of what's going on with that, but wanted everyone to know about it.
Thank you, Linda. Allison, I see you're next.
Also wanted to mention that the Loveland shelter sites have been at capacity for some time now that the weather has dropped a bit. We reduced our capacity just by 2 people at the Loveland Resource Center. We have people who have walkers who can't get around at the South Railroad facility, so they sleep at the Loveland Resource Center. So it minimizes the amount of room we have available. I just want to give the rest of the update for Loveland as well. The church as a shelter is going to City Council on December 17th, and I believe, and Sandra can say more about that. But I wanted to add that we've had our City Council now on 4 separate occasions bring up completely defunding all shelter services in the city of Loveland. It happened with each of the budget meetings, saying, let's not spend money on shelter. It's $2.5 million. We have a severe reduction of services in Loveland from the loss of the sales tax on food starting in 2024, and therefore we should use that money on fire and police. So that didn't pass on the first budget reading. The second time it was brought up again, although it wasn't called out as shelter, it was just let's reduce the budget by $2.5 million. Once multiple city council members realized that that was defunding the shelter completely, then they also voted no. We've had another council member on 2 occasions this week and 2 weeks ago ask staff to bring it back by mid-February to see how we get out of the business as a city. So wanting to say that Loveland sheltering is fairly precarious. Without question, there's a plan to tie it all up with a bow for city council to let them understand that they do actually have an off-ramp, and we're presenting it that night. Thanks.
Thank you, Allison. Seth, I'll go to you.
Yeah, thanks. Just an update on our new project. We are still in the thick of planning and preparing to try to build a new homelessness resolution building in North Fort Collins to replace our, well, both what Paula mentioned, our seasonal overflow shelter, and our original building that has 89 beds in it. And we got a unanimous approval of our project again, and City Council of Fort Collins rejected the 2 appeals, and that was officially adopted 2 days ago at the City Council meeting. There still is a 28-day window where somebody can file a suit against the city and try to delay that project. And I choose my words carefully. Try to delay is really the only outcome I can see, because a suit against the city with a unanimous planning and zoning approval and unanimous city council approval is a pretty strong stance to fight against. And suing a city is just really difficult in the first place. But we do have reason to believe that somebody is motivated and has the funds to sue the city, unfortunately, over our project. And we're doing our work to kind of do contingency planning about how do we move forward with the project with the suit filed and in process, because a suit could take 12 to 18 months to resolve in district court. So I don't have any clear answers to what we're going to do if that happens. But we're, continuing to do capital campaign fundraising, and we have $5 million left to raise on that. So a lot of progress has been made in the last 12 months to get through the city approval process. We may not be out of the woods yet with a building permit in hand, but we're still in the most ideal world shooting for infrastructure construction to begin next spring, and maybe vertical building structure beginning next summer. A lot of variables are in play with that timeline, so don't hold me to it, but we can always hope. Thanks. Oh, and thanks for everyone who supported us at the city council meeting and, wrote letters. Ultimately, those letters couldn't be submitted because there was no public comment, but man, it is really encouraging, and it's with all the opposition we receive, those letters of support were really welcome to kind of buoy our spirits. So thank you all.
Thank you, Seth. I don't think I see any other hands up at this moment, so I'm going to kind of move on to the next sector update. It is housing. I do see that Rachel from Neighbor to Neighbor did give an update on their housing search assistance program in the chat. Does anyone else have any other housing related updates? Okay. Oh, Sean.
Hello, thank you. I'm sorry, I'm driving. Yeah, I'm Sean Walcott. I am the board chair of the Greeley Weld Housing Authority. And I just wanted to give everyone an update if you hadn't heard from the Greeley City Council or saw it in the Tribune yet. But since 1994, the Greeley Weld Housing Authority has been operating as a dual housing authority through a governmental interagency agreement between the Greeley Housing Authority and the Weld County government. In October, the Weld County Commissioners notified the Greeley Housing Authority of the termination of that intergovernmental agreement, which means starting in February of 2025, the housing authorities will split into two separate housing authorities again, the Greeley Housing Authority and the Weld County Housing Authority. This shouldn't have any impact on people receiving vouchers. Just the management of those vouchers will shift, and then it'll be up to the two different agencies to determine how they go forward with their housing resources. So lots of restructuring and changing as we're still searching for a new executive director. But I'm happy to answer any questions about that.
Thank you, Sean. Does anyone have questions right off the bat about that? Okay. Any other housing updates before I move on? Just give it one last chance. Okay. Any city, county government updates? I know Allison gave the update for City of Loveland. Anyone else on this call with updates? I don't think I see any raised hands.
Christine,
Yeah.
sorry, this is Lexi. I cannot find the raise hand button and was panicking. Sorry. And sorry that you all can't see me. let's see here. There we go. Okay. I just wanted to pop in real quick and let everyone know that we did officially launch our landlord engagement program with Larimer County Housing Partners of Larimer. Sorry, I'm looking at a screen over here, so my face is not lining up correctly. But what that really means is we are accepting landlords currently into our program. We're still onboarding our service provider agencies such as you all a little bit more slowly. If you do have questions about that, feel free to reach out to me or Erin. I'll drop our emails in the chat. But I did want to add that, we're trying to build that housing pipeline. And so if you do have housing providers out there that may not have vacancies yet, but maybe mission aligned or interested in participating, we'd still love to sign them up now so that as units come available, we can get them filled with referrals from you all. So just a quick update there. And then also if you do have any questions overall about the program, I'll drop the link to our website, but do feel free to reach out to me. But we are ready to start taking housing providers and getting folks matched to them. So I'm very excited about that.
Thank you, Lexi. Any other housing updates? Or sorry, that's housing and county update. I'll move. We got so any youth updates. I know Nicole shared about the landing, the shelter. Is there any other youth related updates we can share among this group? Going once, going twice. Any veteran services updates? I see Tatum thinking. I haven't.
No, I'll just add, I know you shared some data at the beginning of the meeting. Hunter shared that with us yesterday, and it's really heartwarming to see the efforts, the collaboration, and the benefit of the collaboration and all that it's bringing forward with this effort of ending veteran homelessness. So just thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Tina. Well, any behavioral health updates? Okay. What about our justice system, public safety? Any updates, things to share in that realm? And then really just anyone have anything else to share that maybe you didn't feel like you fell under any of those categories, but you have something that is important to share with this group? Going once, going twice. Okay. Well, I do appreciate all the updates that were shared. That's very helpful. And I appreciate you all for attending today's meeting. For the CoC voting members, do expect an email from me shortly with instructions on how to cast your votes for the governing board nominees. And yes, the survey as well I'll send up to our entire general membership if you have any feedback to provide on how we're thinking of restructuring. But otherwise, please enjoy the rest of your Thursday and happy almost Friday. Thank you all.